The storm had rolled in fast that evening, swallowing the small town of Willow Spring, Virginia, under a blanket of cold rain and trembling wind. The streets glistened with reflections of trembling streetlights. Most people hurried home, heads low, rushing toward warmth and certainty. But one woman stood still in the middle of the nearly empty parking lot of a local grocery store, holding an overstuffed paper bag against her chest, her heart aching in a way she couldn't ignore. Her name was Mara Collins, and she had no idea that this single moment of hesitation, of seeing a struggling family through the window of an old van, would turn into the most life-changing decision of her year. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and goodness that still exists in the world, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. It truly helps stories like this reach more hearts. Mara had always been the kind of woman who noticed the small things, the tired cashier forcing a smile at the end of a long shift, the elderly man who counted coins carefully before paying for his bread, the children who stared at the bakery counter as though it held magic behind the glass. She worked long hours as a medical receptionist and lived alone in a modest apartment, still healing from losing her mother 6 months earlier. Grief had softened her, reshaped her, made her see the world's hidden fractures. Maybe that was why, on that stormy night, she looked twice when she saw a young mother hunched in the front seat of the van, her hands pressed to her face as her shoulders shook. 2 small children sat in the back, trying to stay quiet, their tiny breaths fogging the window. Mara felt a pull deep in her chest, the kind that didn't let go. She quietly walked toward the van and gently tapped on the fogged glass. Inside, the young mother, later introduced as Kara Thompson, looked startled, embarrassed, and exhausted. Her children, a boy around 8 and a girl no older than 5, clutched blankets in their laps. Mara didn't ask many questions. She didn't need to. Sometimes pain writes itself on people in ways that don't need explanation. She learned that Kara had lost her job 2 months earlier. The rent was overdue, the electricity had been shut off that morning, and they had been sitting in the parking lot trying to gather the courage to ask for help. They hadn't eaten a full meal in days. Mara didn't hesitate. She walked back into the grocery store with purpose she hadn't felt in months. She picked up everything she imagined this family would need: bread, milk, cereal, fresh fruit, snacks for the kids, canned goods, pasta, soup, warm deli food for tonight, and even a small pack of chocolate chip cookies, just because every child deserves sweetness. She added items for Kara, too, things she knew a mother would never buy for herself: shampoo, warm socks, a small bottle of lotion. The bill was much higher than she anticipated, but the moment she imagined the children eating warm food instead of going to sleep hungry, she knew she would have spent it twice over. When Mara returned with the full bags, Kara's eyes filled instantly with tears that streamed down her cheeks despite her attempts to hold them in. The little girl reached out cautiously for the cookies, her eyes glowing the way only a child's hope can shine. Mara offered them everything, and then stood beside the family in the rain, feeling something inside her crack open and begin to heal. She didn't think she had done anything remarkable, but sometimes the smallest acts of kindness ripple farther than the giver ever imagines. Over the next few days, Mara couldn't get the family out of her mind. She checked on them again and again, eventually helping them find a temporary shelter that offered warmth and safety. She even helped Kara apply for a job at the clinic where she worked, a housekeeping position that had recently opened. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a start, and Kara took it, with shaking hands and a grateful heart, promising herself she would rebuild everything she had lost. But it was what happened a month later that melted hearts all across town. The clinic lobby had just begun to glow with soft morning light when Kara walked in holding the hands of her 2 children, both dressed in clean clothes and smiling wide. She approached the reception desk where Mara was organizing patient files. A folded piece of colored construction paper lay in the boy's hands. When he handed it to Mara, she paused, wiping her hands nervously on her scrubs before carefully opening the paper. Inside was a drawing of Mara, bright yellow hair, big smile, surrounded by 3 stick figures with happy faces. Underneath, written in a child's earnest handwriting, were the words, "Thank you for saving us." Mara pressed her hand to her mouth as a flood of emotion rushed through her. No one had ever said something like that to her. Kara stepped forward and shared that, because of Mara, they had found stability. She had saved enough money to move into a small rental home. The kids were enrolled in school again, and for the first time in months, they were sleeping through the night without fear. Kara explained that she prayed every night, thanking God not for miracles, but for people like Mara, ordinary angels disguised as ordinary people who choose compassion when they could choose indifference. Word of what Mara had done spread quietly across Willow Spring. Neighbors, co-workers, and even strangers began offering help. Donations, clothes, school supplies. It was as though Mara's single act of kindness had unlocked something deep within the community, reminding everyone that it doesn't take wealth or status to change a life. Sometimes it takes just noticing. Later that week, Mara walked out of the clinic and found the same family waiting for her with a small basket filled with homemade cookies, a handwritten letter, and a tiny wooden cross carved by the little boy. Kara explained that the cross was meant to remind Mara that she had been a light in their darkest moment. Mara hugged them tightly, feeling a sense of purpose she hadn't felt since her mother's passing. She realized that helping this family had saved her too, pulling her out of her grief and giving her heart a new reason to beat strongly again. If this story touched your heart in any way, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It encourages us to continue creating stories that celebrate kindness and humanity. Before you go, please comment below. Kindness matters. It helps more than you know.